I think the value of positive intelligence for a CEO would be to be able to respond to life's challenges rather in a positive than a negative mindset. Yeah? The negative mindset would be fear-driven, which might push us to big success, but not necessarily happiness. And what positive intelligence does is lets you respond to life's challenges rather in a positive mindset, in the sage mode. Yeah? We're talking about a saboteur mode on one side and the sage mode on the other side. You can have another analogy if you know Star Wars. It's the Darth Vader side and the Jedi side. So this would be the exact analogy that really works here. So that's what we're doing. I'd like to have a CEO rather be on the Jedi side than the Darth Vader side.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today, we're going to be talking about positive intelligence. You might have not have heard that before, but imagine your ability to deal with life's challenges in a most positive way possible. Well, that's the art and the science of positive intelligence. We have with us Manfred Mahrle. He's with ActyMind, and he talks about what it is, and he unpacks a lot of this positive intelligence for CEOs to understand this. It will resonate with you, I promise you, if you're dealing with any type of fear and judgment, and if you want to really handle these life's challenges in a different way, you want to lean into today's episode, and it will give you a lot of value. My name is Gene Hammett. I am a CEO coach. We do executive coaching, manager coaching, leadership development. And it sounds like we do a lot of different things, but really the core of it is helping you become a better leader and helping those around you be better leaders so that you're not having to pull everyone. They are pushing you. And that is the sign of when you are a truly exceptional leader, which is one of the tools we use inside of our practice. I want to offer you something free. If you're listening to this, we do a lot of free workshops. We do a lot of different things. If you want to check out that, go to coreelevation.com. That's our company name. But if you want real one-on-one help with me and you're listening to this, it is absolutely free for you. If you mention the podcast and that you want to get a discovery call with me, this is not a sales call, but I'm going to help you prepare for that next big challenge, whether it be a leadership challenge in front of you, a next big opportunity. And I want to do that for you. And so let's make that happen. And so all you have to do is send me an email, gene@genehammett.com. Now, here's the interview with Manfred. Hey, Manfred, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, I'm excited to have you on the podcast. We're going to have a great conversation today about positive intelligence. Before we dive into that, I'd love for you to tell us about your company, ActyMind.
Yeah, I founded my company after I stepped out of my corporate career. So that was after 24 years corporate. And to my defense, I have to say I did something different all 5 to 7 years in corporate. Stepped out at the age of 50. Maybe call it a little midlife crisis, but it's in a good way. And then I founded my company ActyMind. And since then, I've been doing a portfolio of things that I really like and are dear to my heart. One is executive coaching. Second is investing in small companies, startup companies, and then doing the mentoring and business angel work with them. And another one is setting up peer groups and engaging with them. So that's what my company ActyMind does.
Love it. Very similar to the work I do. Haven't gotten into the investing side yet, but really excited to have you here to talk about positive intelligence. Before we go too far, give us your best definition for a CEO of a fast-growing company. What is the value of positive intelligence?
I think the value of positive intelligence for a CEO would be to be able to respond to life's challenges rather in a positive than a negative mindset. Yeah? The negative mindset would be fear-driven, which might push us to big success, but not necessarily happiness. And what positive intelligence does is lets you respond to life's challenges rather in a positive mindset, in the sage mode. Yeah? We're talking about a saboteur mode on one side and the sage mode on the other side. You can have another analogy if you know Star Wars. It's the Darth Vader side and the Jedi side. So this would be the exact analogy that really works here. So that's what we're doing. I'd like to have a CEO rather be on the Jedi side than the Darth Vader side.
You know, you said something really interesting because I know fear can be a powerful force for us, but it can create success. It can create good things in life, but it also comes with a cost usually. Let's talk about that just a little bit before we go into the other side.
Absolutely. Yeah, fear is a powerful driver. And the fact that our ancestors were fearful is the fact that we are here. So we are here out of a function of the big line of our ancestors being fearful and rather run when the snake crawls through the bushes, than look at it and see, oh, what a beautiful snake. Yeah. So there are times when fear is called for and you better run. But then the question is if fear is really helpful in times where we probably are not confronted with snakes or saber-toothed tigers and the likes. So, in other words, is fear and the pain it creates still helpful all the time?
I think a lot of people think that this fear is a force that they can't live without because they don't know the other way. And so the other way would be, you know, kind of this sage side to this. So tell us a little bit more about what that is.
I would say fear is absolutely necessary also today, and I would never say don't try to avoid fear at all levels. You can't anyhow. But then the question is if you should stay in the fear. Yeah. In other words, is it good to have pain? And the answer is yes. But then you take pain only as an alarm signal, yeah? And see that something is getting triggered, but then use the sage powers of positive intelligence to move into the positive side, into the sage side, and find answers. Yeah, ask questions and don't immediately judge because the
So
judgment is the problem here, and we tend to judge very, very quickly. We judge on ourselves. We are very harsh to ourselves. We judge very quickly on others. So this happens in 200 milliseconds, where you put somebody into a drawer and then it's very hard for them to crawl out of that. And we judge circumstances. And the biggest lie of the third part is I cannot be happy now. I need this and that before I can allow myself to be happy. Yeah. So this means you're in saboteur mode, and you're very probably the master saboteur of all there are is the inner judge.
now, Manfred just said pain is an alarm signal. Now, I agree with this. You want to make sure that when you are getting some type of feedback that is painful or uncomfortable, that you look at it, reflect on what it really is. What is it trying to show you or teach you? And then you can move forward. But a lot of times we just get stuck in that pain and fear. And that is not as productive as being able to reflect and act intentionally. A lot of my coaching work is around helping leaders define who they're becoming as a leader, as they level up and as they scale through different growth stages of their company. I've been doing this for about 15 years. So I know what I'm talking about. I speak from experience, not from theory. And if there's anything I can help you do, make sure you reach out to me. Now back to Manfred. Very interesting. So the flip side of this would be connecting to that sage. Give us a little bit more context around what is the sage in positive intelligence.
The sage is the definition is to respond to life's challenges rather with a positive mindset. Yeah, and there's 5 sage powers. There are so the first one is empathy. The second is exploration, where you ask the question, what information more do we need to make a judgment, to pass a judgment? The third is innovation. Yeah, create ideas around an empty room. The fourth is navigation, to connect with your own values. Because if you act constantly against your values, you have a recipe for a miserable life. And the fourth one is activation, because vision without action and all the ideas without action is just an illusion. So you need to bring the rubber on the road.
So you've got a lot of experience with the positive intelligence. Where do people get stuck most often?
Most often it starts on the premise that they say, hey, I need my saboteurs. And the saboteurs are mainly archetypes of coping mechanisms that we develop as kids. These are coping mechanisms that we develop in order to get love, recognition, and understanding from our surrounding. So everybody has them, and there's 9 of them around. So what's usually happening when I confront people with those archetypes, they say, "Hey, I need those saboteurs. They have been there and they made me successful." And that might well be true. Yeah. So people, I've met super successful people who really made it to the top, but they were still unhappy. Yeah. And why is that? Because they are living in a fear-based, saboteur-driven existence, and the saboteurs are sucking your energy. Yeah. And this is probably what happens a lot today. And the good thing is, with the positive intelligence program, I can get people out within 7 weeks of that thinking and give them tools at hand where they can really find their way into the sage mode and create healthy, positive habits. In the end, it's all about habit building.
You've seen a lot of inflection points with leaders over the years. Give us one that you feel like really represents a really solid understanding of positive intelligence.
I would say the deep. I had a positive intelligence pod call today with a couple of leaders, and one person, I wouldn't mention the name, of course, but he is now in his late 50s. He said today, basically today, he said, I think I wasted a lot of energy, and I really hurt a lot of my important relationships because I've been so judgmental and I've been such a perfectionist, and always wanted 100% of myself, but also of others. Yeah. Even when it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Talking about fonts, maybe in presentation, or talking about, the date that on one slide is on that position and on the other one is on that. Yeah. If you have that stickler saboteur, and that's one of those archetypes, you mentioned it. And regardless if everything else has been perfect, you zoom in on exactly that. Yeah. Now, what does it do to ourselves if we demand that perfectionism of ourselves? We are not felt like humans. Yeah. And if we ask that same perfectionism of everybody else, everybody will lose bandwidth. Yeah. So you see where the sabotaging side of that conversation comes in. And there's 9 more examples of other saboteurs that I could give you. So, but the main saboteur would be more or less the conductor of the other saboteurs would be this inner judge. Yeah. With the judgment on ourselves, with the judgment on others and circumstances.
I see this with myself in different ways, but I also know that when I'm more patient, when I'm more calm, and a lot of my work comes into being an intentional leader. How do we define who you're being and who you're becoming? If you're being a saboteur or a judgmental person, that's that kind of there's some overlap in the work and approach we use. I know you're probably familiar with traditional coaching in different ways. How would you explain, truly embracing this positive intelligence for a CEO out there that wants to make a big shift in the way they're leading?
I think I would catch them with offering them a boost in their mental fitness, and that's actually an analogy that really works. Yeah, because everybody is sort of fit or considers themselves fit, but nobody has anything against being more fit. Yeah, so that's how we introduce it, and that's usually what people are very intrigued about. And you said something about being calm and being mindful. Mindfulness and small sort of meditations play a crucial role in this habit building. And sometimes it's as little as rubbing your fingers against each other to feel the fingertip ridges in both the thumb and the pointer. Yeah. So I do this before meetings for 2 minutes, close my eyes and rub the fingers and maybe take some deep breaths. The meeting is very different from the one that I just stumble in stressed and without intention. Yeah. So I think it's not the huge tools. It's so simple tools that being on time, prepare 5 minutes before the meeting, get yourself with intention, maybe have a little thought about what do I want to take out of that meeting. Yeah. Sounds super trivial, but not many people do that.
I love the simplicity of that example you gave us. And it made me think of like habits.
Yeah.
Are there other simple things that you could share with us just to give us a deeper look at this positive intelligence?
It's in the end, it's stacking healthy habits after each other. And you know
Yeah.
what they say about habit building? They say you take 21 days to build a habit. So there's a certain myth in the internet that it needs 21 days consecutively to build a habit. So the positive intelligence program takes 6 or 7 weeks. So that's 42 days. So the program itself allows you to fail every second day and still build the habit. You know, that's a good thing about it. And easy things is like take 10 deep breaths, do box breathing, do a tense and relax exercise. Yeah. So all the things that you might have heard of, and also allow empathy towards yourself. Yeah.
Mm.
Empathy towards others starts with yourself, and it's not selfish being empathetic towards yourself. Without self-empathy, you cannot be effective for other people. Yeah, so it's the least selfish thing to do to have huge empathy for yourself and really get access to your own essence, and play that.
Love those. Manfred, you've been on this journey of leadership for a long time. You've worked with a lot of people through YPO, through the companies you invest in and things like that. Tell me about a time when your own leadership took an inflection point.
Yeah, probably. I would say I became a leader out of a team at a very young age. So I was coming from a big four company. I was auditing the company. I was hired away later, and then I was with a team for 4 or 5 years, and then I became out of this team. I became their leader, their managing director first. And this was, I think, quite a huge challenge for me to come from that peer group where we have been equal to a position of where people stop the conversation when you enter the room. You know what I mean? You've been a leader and you've been a young leader, and you know what I'm talking about. You want to be their friend, but sometimes there's a distance. So it took me some time to learn that. I think that was the first inflection point. The second one, I had the opportunity to work and live in Asia as a regional board member for my company, which was a huge healthcare company. And suddenly I had 15,000 people in my area of responsibility, not alone, but among them, in a very different culture. And I was still quite young at that age. I was 38 when I joined this Asian entity. So that was another inflection point where, let's say, the first 100 days where I just listened and tried to make the FaceTime to get the trust with the people. I think that I would consider that my biggest inflection point as a manager. Yeah? Get the trust and then be able to earn this trust dividend that pays off if people really trust you and you trust people.
Those are great inflection points. I know we need to wrap up today's conversation about positive intelligence. Just curious, what have we not hit on that you think is really important to understand the value and approach of positive intelligence for CEOs?
What did we not hit on? That
Yeah,
was the question.
yeah.
Yeah, probably the you mentioned it. It's the simplicity and the idea about this program, which is app delivered, is that it creates as low thresholds as possible for people to entertain the thought to do something about mental fitness. Yeah, we are not calling it mental health. We're calling it mental fitness. But in the end, we are stacking positive mental habits that mental health in the end also will be much more resilient. Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah, um, I think the program is the best there is in the world. Yeah, and the book itself is a you can buy it on Amazon or wherever is available. Is also one of the best texts on mental fitness, resilience, and positive mental habits there are. Yeah. So, and there's a huge body of evidence there. So I think what's missing a little bit is the real wide distribution of this really great program. And I'm happy to complete and be part of the vision of Shazad, to have positive intelligence for minimum a million people around the world.
I know that we might seem like we serve the same people, but you're in a different continent than me. And I enjoy having others that are like me on my show because it makes me a better coach. I would love for you to give us at least one or two sentences on who would be the perfect person to sign up for your mental fitness, as you described it, on positive intelligence.
The perfect person would be somebody who is open to work on their own challenges in life, probably,
Mm.
and also an open person to look at those challenges. Yeah. Um, I think you need a certain psychological maturity to be able to really benefit from that program. Yeah. I've worked with very young people as well, so it's not a question of age, it's a question of readiness to develop yourself and work on yourself, and maybe sometimes also be painfully truthful to yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's important. So, and I've worked with a couple of companies, and when the question is who is going to that course, I say I don't work with people who are being sent there. I only work with people who really mean it and who want to do the program. Those who are being sent and tell me, I ask the question, why are you here? And the people say, oh, I've been sent, and somebody said it's a good idea. I said, please look at the program, consider it, and please step out of it if you don't want it. Yeah. Because that was one of the things when I stepped out of corporate. I said, I want to work only with people that really mean it. I want to work with positive people, and I want to work with people that I can learn from. Yeah? And I learn every time I'm doing this program. I've been with about 250 people in that program now, and I learn from each single one. So that's the great thing about being a lifelong learner. There's so many opportunities for learning all around the place.
I agree with you. I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and it took me 18 years to be there. And it taught me a lot of lessons about the patience and just lifelong learning. And there's a saying out there that too, that once you get to your black belt, that's when the training actually starts.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it as much as I do now because I've been a black belt for about a year and a half now, and I've gotten a new fire inside of me to a level of mastery. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of leaders, if I'm really being honest, they get too complacent and they over focus on work and not on growing as individuals. That personal development side of leadership really is a lacking of desire and hunger. And it's sad to see that because I haven't lost it. I know you haven't lost it. But if you really want to be a great leader, something like positive intelligence, and not that I need to give a commercial for you, but it could be exactly what unlocks joy and successful growth that you can replicate and share with your team members. And so I just say this to other people out there listening. I just really think that we should always be lifelong learners and find something that we could go deep into. I don't like the surface level stuff. I'm sure you're the same. We really should go be deep into this. And if positive intelligence is what you're doing, check it out. Manfred is incredibly wise. I'm glad to have him here on the show today. And Manfred, let me just say to you, thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gene. It was really a pleasure to be on the show with you.
Wow, what a great interview. I really love having him on the show, talking about positive intelligence. Hopefully you got a copy of his book when he held it up there. If not, we'll put it in the show notes. And if there's anything we can do to help you grow your business and grow your leadership, make sure you reach out to us at gene@genehammett.com. And when you think of growth, when you think of leadership, think of Growth Think Tank. As always, with courage, we'll see you next time.